Hello, this is Jeff Neal with Nathan and Bryan Hasley, and welcome to the Sunday Huddle. As always, we're so grateful for the sponsorship of Sports World and for Brotherwood Coffee. We'd love for you to like and subscribe here. Help us follow. Also, get on there, get on the link that's listed in the bio, and get on the Brotherwood Coffee, order some coffee, and support that which we're doing. We want to wish you from the outset a very Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I want to start off by saying I love my wife. She takes care of me. Very, very cautious as I walk out the door. I'm going to be careful as I look through some of the thumbnails to make sure that I'm not duplicating. We're in the same shirt. We're in a different shirt each time so that we have a different thing. I'm not sure, Bryan. Have you worn that outfit before or not?
On this show? No. No, I have not.
What is another situation?
No,
besides
we don't want to know where else you would wear that.
Is that a question you don't know the answer
I don't want
to
to know the place that would be appropriate.
It's great for Christmas parties. And I also just want to say I'm really glad. I wasn't sure where you were going with when you started with I love my wife and everything. I wasn't sure if I was going to cause you to lust. So I'd never want to cause a brother to stumble.
That did not happen. So yeah, where does one, I think I've asked us about a previous outfit, where does one purchase this and where does one wear that?
Honestly, Walmart.
How about that?
I would recommend everyone going to their local Walmart to purchase their own. You can wear this all year. That's the beautiful part about it.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming you mean like the guy behind Walmart. That's where you got it, right?
That's right.
I mean, yes.
I'm glad you didn't come. You know, you mentioned it's good for Christmas parties. You didn't show up to our youth Christmas party, and I'm glad you didn't because I would have had to say, "Hey, kids, this is what it looks like when we fire one of our volunteers."
So I want you to see first of all what was done there. That was a delicate shot that was fired because he did not show up to the Christmas party. Is that what I just heard?
100%, yeah.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah.
In front of thousands of people, we took a shot at Bryan. Well, man, Merry Christmas. So glad to be with you guys today. And man, what an exciting time. So man, real quick, if you don't mind, tell everybody, tell the audience, you have 3 children. Give us their ages.
I have a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old.
4-month-old. Praise God. He hadn't slept in 4 months. And Nathan?
I've got a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old.
So tell me, man, this is a big time. 4 years old and younger. This is fun, right?
Well, it could be fun. I mean, so there is a lot of part of Christmas. And so I'm going to give everyone a warning now, like earmuffs for younger people. I'll give you 5 seconds to turn it off, if you will, because there's someone that I do think we all kind of want to talk about this time of year. It's
Jesus.
Well, obviously.
Okay, yeah.
But there's also another. It's a visitor who knows if you've been bad or good. He rewards you with the gifts if you have been good. He is notorious for his elaborate costume. And of course, I'm talking about Belsnickel from The Office. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know the reference either.
That's
I missed the reference.
It's basically a German version of Santa.
Okay, from The Office.
From The Office, yeah.
Gosh,
it's pretty
I missed
fun.
that one.
So since it's our Christmas episode, I just have to ask the question, what's the biblical justification for lying to children about a fictitious character who knows about if they've been good or bad and rewards them for the good stuff? And if they get the bad stuff, they get punished. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this one is a lying. And tell me how it doesn't lead to prosperity preaching.
Man, don't beat around the bush. How do you feel about this subject?
I'm asking you. I don't know.
Well, Nathan, I'll let you give your thoughts.
Biblical justification request. From what you're wearing, that feels very strange.
To demand that we need to follow the scriptures from that outfit.
I'm pretty sure this is not of mixed linens.
It is not of mixed fabrics. Leviticus reference. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we teach our children, hey, this is Santa, and if you swap around these letters, it actually spells Satan.
He's joking. We're going to get canceled so bad.
Yeah, because they're 4 and 1.5. They can't spell. We couldn't actually teach them that.
Yeah.
We couldn't actually teach them that. The biblical justification for allowing children to be children and letting them have imaginations. That's what you're looking for?
That's what I was asking for.
Okay, yeah. I want kids to be kids. That's it.
Interesting. And he's kind of joking and kind of not.
Right.
And so I want everybody to know that. But it's interesting. Inspiring Philosophy, I did an interview with him a number of time ago has really addressed a lot of people. Oh, it's a pagan holiday and the Christmas tree in the house. And he's kind of refuted a lot of that. So if anyone has questions, I encourage you. Inspiring Philosophy, wonderful guy. And he has addressed this subject, in a great way and in a sound way and in a historical way, which I appreciate. But man, what a great question. And honestly, that's something, my kids are older. My youngest one is a junior in college. That's something we thought about before we did it. Are we gonna do Santa Claus? Ironically, or not ironically, actually, James Dobson kind of informed me on this subject. And James Dobson said that he was okay with kids pretending. He was okay with kids having this kind of fantasy where they thought this. I think he pointed to that the real issue comes in if this is done 365 days a year.
Right.
If in the middle of June I say, Santa knows when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake, right? And so I think we're going to all believe, we all have to say this, and this is interesting because I want to see where the threshold is for you. Because there's levels to this, right? There's levels to us pretending and having these ideas and having fun with kids. I mean, I don't remember ever with Brooke, my oldest child, when she was a little girl, 3 or 4, and I would go to her room. I don't remember ever having a tea party with her and stopping halfway and say, there's not real tea in this cup. I never
wouldn't put it past you.
I would, but I never told her that, right? Hey, we're just pretending. Because there was an element of pretend and there was an element of fun to it. And that's the way we approach that subject, to have this kind of just, again, a fun time for kids. But I think that your objection is duly noted.
No, I know. Go ahead. I'm definitely that was obviously a bombastic question.
Yeah.
And we don't do Santa at our house, but it's not one of those that I'm like, oh, if you do Santa, you hate your kids and you're trying to lie to them and deceive them. Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
It's more of one of those situations where. One, I don't have a preference either way. I don't let the festive costume fool you. I don't like our decorations in the house. We have a tree. Yep. We had a smaller one last year. This year it's a little bit bigger because we've got bigger kids. So we needed to get lights and a couple ornaments. But it's the whole season, I think, and I think. For me, it's not like, again, it's our preference. There's not, I'm hating on anybody for choosing differently. It's hard we've listened to a couple podcasts, my wife and I, and that's where it got to. Some of them were definitely much more, we'll just say antagonistic towards those who believe in Santa or have the Santa everything and Santa's gonna come and all that kind of stuff. And so what we try to do is just say, well, Santa doesn't come to our house, this kind of stuff. We're trying to make sure that we don't want our kids to be the one that goes into their classroom. Santa's not real. Your parents lie to you. We don't want that. Yeah. Although Hallie's probably going to do it anyway.
She's going to do that anyway.
She told me today.
She's like her father.
She's definitely a sinner. But so it's just one of those that I want to, again, for me personally, and not to say that people aren't, I want to be able to, when I say things with my kids, like one of the things I try to be intentional is not say like, because I said so. I want to, whenever they ask for justification, I try to be pretty direct with them. And so it felt more along the lines of the way that we parent, that made more sense to us to just stay consistent with that and then try to make sure that everything that we do say falls within truth.
Yeah, well said. Nathan, what's your position at Charleston?
We're way more like loosey-goosey with our parenting. So it also follows along with it. And it's like, just whatever.
Not true. His wife is amazing and the kids are amazing, just like Bryan.
So I say this, and I'll say this for you too, in that we talk about it. We have like a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. So I don't know about you. I still have no idea what I'm doing.
Same.
So while yes, I have like thoughts on the way we want to do things. So yeah, me and my wife wrestled with this one. We really did. We were kind of like I didn't know if I wanted to or not do Santa, not do it. I feel like it was easier to just like not do it. Our thoughts on it really kind of came from my fear of my 4-year-old being the one to, because he would be the one to tell everyone, because he loves to let people know something that he knows, to tell everybody. So we kind of were worried about that a little bit. And then, so we just kind of started thinking about just the objections to it. As far as the lying to your children thing. I've never had a student that I worked with, or honestly, just met anyone that has deep-rooted issues because my parents lied to me about Santa Claus. I mean, I'm sure that person exists. Don't get me wrong, but I've never met them. I've never met them, and if they have, it's never come up in conversation. So as far as that's concerned, like that was not a concern to us. Of like our kids are gonna think we're lying to them, or you hear also the pushback of, well, if you're lying to them about this, they're gonna start like having doubts about Jesus. Well, like if that's the case, there's much deeper issues there. If there's not a discernible difference in the Savior that you worship and the pretend person that you like fantasize or whatever. So we decided like we just don't make a big deal about it. Honestly, I don't even know that I've ever to my son said like, hey, Santa's coming or whatever. When he talks about it, I just I roll with it and we go from there. And then I've kind of decided, me and my wife, whenever they do ask, whenever they say, hey, is Santa real or whatever, then I'm not gonna lie to him. I'll probably avoid as much as I can or asking or answering questions, but then I won't lie to him. Sure, yeah, I'll let him know, and then hopefully he won't go run and tell everyone else.
Yeah, well said. And like I said, so I think both have made clear their position, and I actually agree with their position. Mostly. I think the two follow-up questions. There's number one, why do you hate Santa Claus? Mm-hmm. Number two, who hurt you when you were a little kid?
Santa Claus. I think the second answer kind of goes to the first. I wanted a pony.
You should have, and he didn't give you one.
No, he did, but it wasn't the right one.
I had a friend. This is, kind of on topic, kind of not. I had a friend growing up who they had a red phone on their like countertop in their kitchen. And this was the phone.
And they said, "Hey, the president." Oh, okay.
This was the phone to Santa, and for his. I was in middle school at this time, but his little brother was not, and still very much believed in Santa. And anytime he started to act up at all, his parents would go over there and just slowly start picking up that phone until he would like scream and no, I'm sorry, and correct. Obviously, we don't do that. That's not great, but
that would be Exhibit A of the type of thing that you're worried about, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not worried about that in my house.
You don't have a red phone.
They would call Santa to defend them from me.
That's funny. Yeah, but right. So I think we do need to be cautious about what we tell our kids. We do need to speak truth in their life. We do need to make sure that we're being honest and truthful with that. Real quick, and I know we're probably too long on Santa Claus here, but this is pretty interesting. I think. Did you have Santa Claus growing up? Was that something y'all did in your house?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and what about in your house growing up?
We did, yeah. At a pretty young age, I heard the actual story of Saint Nick. I was like, wait, he died? So I asked my mom really quickly. The story said Santa's dead. So it wasn't very long, but yes, we did do it in our house.
Fortunately, she didn't say he resurrected, so that's a good thing. That's when it goes full. The heresy goes full circle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No. I that's why I question Jesus, is because I'm kidding.
This is the first case you've ever heard.
Right? No. I definitely did. It was something that we would have the pictures of Santa. Actually, my dad dressed up like Santa regularly, and still did like some of the grandkids and stuff like that. So that's one of the things. Yeah. That's
so cool. So we've gone over what we shouldn't do probably in there. Now to direct. What is Christmas all about?
Right.
And I think this is something that I think that we casually say the birth of Jesus, and we don't really flesh that out. Like, so what does Christmas really mean? Now here's the deal. Our audience mostly are going to say, man, what a dumb question. We already know the answer to that. But I think that there's some really, really deep theological implications of what happened as we celebrate on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Obviously you said the simple answer of the birth of Jesus. I always go back to Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. Mm-hmm. That's where what does it actually mean for us, like the birth of Jesus? So I'll read it real quick. It says, "For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." So that's what I want, like for myself to be reminded of, and also for my family and for my students that we teach at Christmas time. That's what that means for us: is Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. I think it's J.D. Greer has a whole book on those four names.
Oh, actually. Does he really? Yeah. Wow. Shout out to J.D. Greer. That's awesome.
Right. I think that is obviously really good when you look at prophecy being fulfilled. And that's one of the things that there are obviously several prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, but the one that you can't even begin to have a control of is the lineage that you're born into and where you're born.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the cool things about when you look at God and his sovereignty and his plan in fulfilling his covenant and just doing it through Jesus. It's one of those that you're like, man, that is just so cool. And so we're reminded of, again, the creator of the heavens and the earth, bearing on flesh. That's just wild to me. Like, that's literally, we can't comprehend it in our bodies, and it's just crazy to me.
One of those truths that can't be comprehended but must be apprehended.
Right.
And we have to apprehend that truth. And just to go back a little bit to what you said, it's interesting because most who have objections to the gospel will say, well, Jesus, he read the Old Testament and he tried to fulfill all of these. And what you said is that, well, how do you choose where you're born?
Right.
Right. And Jesus was born exactly where it was prophesied he would do so. I think also, both wonderfully well said, the thing that really, really comes there is that you and I, all of us, we were born with sinful natures. We were born with sinful natures. Thus we sin. We break God's laws. This virgin birth and this birth of Christ, God in the flesh, was born. He was born without sin. He was born of a virgin, thus born without sin. He was perfectly God and perfectly man simultaneously, this hypostatic union where both exist, not 50-50, 100%, 100%, which again can't be comprehended but must be apprehended. And that's the thing, that how do you and I get redeemed from our sin?
Right.
And we get redeemed from our sin because there was one who was born without sin, who lived perfectly, died sacrificially, and rose again. And that's all the implication of the Christmas story.
Absolutely. And that's why I love, like, the way you laid it out is so perfect right there. But at Christmas time, it's so easy to, when you hear about the birth of Jesus, and even talk about, like, the importance of that, of like, well, yeah, I've heard that my whole life growing up. Right. That's like, it's like the movie you've seen a million times. Like, yeah, that's good, but kind of just gloss over it. And I can be guilty of that too. Like, I'm going to sit down on Christmas morning and we're going to read the Christmas story with my children. And there's going to be a temptation for me to like speed through it because I'm like, we already know this stuff. Mary, Joseph, all this stuff. Yeah. But man, they're so like, it's so massive, and we should not lose sight of it and not stop as believers just being in awe and reading and hearing that.
And that's an appropriate word, in awe, right?
Right.
In its strictest sense of the word. Yeah. Any more thoughts on that?
I mean, no, I love how the tradition that you're doing, and that we as well, of reading through the Christmas story and things along those lines. And it's kind of where, not to too much circle back to Santa and stuff, but there are a lot of aspects of the holiday season where they put more focus on those type of traditions, that rather than keeping the main thing about Jesus, which is something that, I mean, in the youth, how many kids don't actually know the Christmas story who have never read it themselves?
Right.
And so that's where I keep wanting to go back to these kind of things. It's like, it's so beautiful. And like you said, we get so, I don't want to say complacent. I don't want to say numb, but it's all like a mixture of those. Is that we've heard it so much that, and we know, oh yeah, Christmas is about Jesus. That we don't massive all of those situations. I mean, Emmanuel, that God is with us. And that's just so exciting that I don't ever want to get distracted with all of the really cool things that are happening around this time. Good food, family, those kind of things, that we miss out on Jesus, which is everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of a full circle conversation. Some of the things that we do could be distracting, right? And so we have to be careful to make that the center of the holidays and center of where we're worshiping. As a tradition in our house, we do the same thing. On Christmas Eve, we read the Christmas story out of Luke, and we read the accounts. And I will do that. Listen, my kids are grown. I've got a junior in college, and they will sit on the couch with me at Christmas Eve. One with his wife, and they'll sit there, and we're going to read. We read the Christmas story.
Beautiful.
And we read that, and then we watch Elf.
Nice.
So do you have a negative opinion of Elf? Because I'm going to tell you this, I don't have the authority to do so, but if he has a negative opinion of Elf, I think he's off of the podcast.
His clothes say he does not have a negative opinion.
I would have to agree. I think that Elf is quite
historically accurate.
I was going to say biblically accurate. So yes, of course, no, it makes sense. And I
Francisco.
Do
that's a word to say.
Francisco must be a South Pole elf. Sorry for the spoilers if you haven't seen it. Sorry.
Oh gosh, if you get those references, they need to get. I hope they get those references.
Absolutely. But I mean, there is some cool things about tradition that I think that it's really cool that we are able to celebrate the birth of Jesus, usually around family. Like, that's one of the things that we're able to spend time with people that we don't get to see very often. And I just hope that one of the things that we try to be very we try to make sure that we spend time with our family, and that we don't let the season pass us by in a blur, that we're too busy preparing for the next thing, that we don't get to live in the moment and be intentional with who we're spending time with, and appreciate the infrequency that we get to see them.
What a message that needs to be remembered throughout the entire year, right? To focus on those things which are important, focus on that, which is the Lord and ultimately our family too, that we make a difference in their life. You know, as we wrap up, I would say that we do want you to recognize the significance of this day. That Christ came, Jesus came as the Son of God and God the Son. He lived the perfect life we couldn't live. He died the death that we deserve. the greatest gift you could receive today is one that you don't earn and don't deserve. And it's by yielding your life to Christ. And if you've never done that, man, you can do that right now and call upon his name. That would be just wonderful for us to hear that. If you do that, we'd love to know about it in the comment section. Like and subscribe. Once again, thankful for Sports World. Thankful for Brotherwood Coffee. Click that link in the bio and help support us. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Have a great night.
Peace.